natural at banging that keep pounding drum today in Uptown. But today wasn't just about fun and games for the Panthers rookie. He also had to face the media like our Charlotte Sports Live Mike Lissette, who was there as T-Mac was faced with some pretty tough questions today.
Yeah, Brian, it did not take long for the pomp and circumstance to wind down. Just a few questions into his first face-to-face with the local media, Tetairoa McMillan had to answer some pretty tough topics. The first was his speed. Now, this was a big concern among scouts and Panther fans when the team announced him as their 8th pick last night. As far as that goes, he said, quote, "I'm not slow, I can tell you that much." The other thing he talked about was his work ethic. Apparently, there was a video floating around of him as a freshman in college where he said he did not like watching game film. McMillan said he's grown a lot since then. That's a good thing because going into this job, he's going to be facing a lot of pressure. He knows the Panthers need a lot from him, and he told me after the press conference he's not afraid to take on that challenge.
You know what? Whatever it takes for this team to win some games, man, I'm all for it. Whether it's being a 1 to 2 or special teams, it doesn't matter. So I'm looking forward to just messing with the guys in the locker room, just getting acquainted with everybody in the facility, and ultimately, just building a relationship with everybody.
It sounds like he's got the right attitude. A couple more notes from today's press conference. McMillan said he's got his skills as a wide receiver from his background in both baseball and volleyball. And one other note, he has not decided on a jersey number just yet. The jersey that he was holding, that was just in honor of the year 25. Reporting from Bank of America Stadium, I'm Mike Lissette. Back to you, Brian.
Yeah, a lot of fans are going to rush out to buy that jersey.
Gotta like the attitude there. A couple more notes from the press conference earlier today. You saw him holding that jersey number of 25. That's actually not going to be his jersey number. He said he hasn't decided on what number he'll be just yet. And as far as where he gets his wide receiving skills from, he's got a unique background. He played volleyball growing up and baseball too, and he told me that both sports really helped him become the athlete that he is today. Panthers tonight have another big night. Hopefully they can address some of those big defensive holes they got. Remember, they still need an edge rusher and they still need somebody at the safety spot. Only 3 safeties on the roster right now, so that's going to be a concern for them as they're picking 57th and 74th tonight in the 2nd and 3rd rounds of the NFL Draft. Reporting from Bank of America Stadium, I'm Mike Lissette. Back to you, Brian.
Yeah, lots of Panther fans are going to be watching, including yourself, Mike, to see who the Panthers take.
Yeah, it did not take long for the pomp and circumstance to die down. It was his first head-to-head and face-to-face press conference with the media, and there were some topics discussed that, I got to give him credit for. He did a good job of addressing. The first was his speed. Going into the draft yesterday, this was a concern for scouts. They said he wasn't quick enough. He said, as far as that goes, he can tell you, quote, "I'm not slow." Now, the other thing he talked about, and I thought was very interesting, was his work ethic. Apparently, he said something a couple years ago about him not watching game film. McMillan said he had grown a lot since then, and that's a good thing because going into this job with the Panthers, make no mistake, the pressure will be on. He knows the Panthers are going to need a lot from him, but he told me after the press conference he's not afraid to take on this challenge.
You know what? Whatever it takes for this team to win some games, man, I'm all for it. Whether it's being a 1 to 2 or special teams, it doesn't matter. So I'm looking forward to just messing with the guys in the locker room, just getting acquainted with everybody in the facility, and ultimately, just building a relationship with everybody.
All right, a couple more interesting notes from the press conference today. As far as where he gets his skills from, he's got a unique background. He actually grew up playing baseball and volleyball, and he said both of those sports made him the wide receiver that he is today. The other interesting note, you saw him holding the jersey number 25. That, at this point, not going to be his jersey number. He has not decided what number he's going to be yet. So don't go to the Panthers store yet and start buying those jerseys. You want to make sure you get the authentic numbers. So just hold out on that a little bit. No holding out tonight, though. The Panthers got 2 more picks coming up in the NFL Draft. You better believe Charlotte Sports Live going to be all over it. They still need Morgan to address those defensive needs, both the edge rusher and the safety position. Because you remember, the Panthers only have 3 safeties on the roster. Reporting from Bank of America Stadium, I'm Mike Lissette, Queen City News.
Busy night ahead, Mike. Thank you. It's the media. Charlotte Sports Live's Mike Lissette was there as McMillan faced some pretty tough questions, Mike.
And no doubt about that. Did not take long for the pomp and circumstance to die down. He addressed some pretty tough topics, and he did his best to do just that. The first issue was his speed. Now, if you recall, this was a concern for scouts going into last night's NFL draft, and an issue for fans who, quite frankly, didn't think he was worthy of being their 8th pick. As far as that topic goes, McMillan said, quote, "I can tell you this. I'm not slow." The other thing he talked about was his work ethic. Apparently, a couple of years ago, he said something about not watching game film. McMillan said since then he's grown up a lot. That's a good thing because going into this job, the pressure will be on. He says he's ready to take on all challenges.
You know what? Whatever it takes for this team to win some games, man, I'm all for it. Whether it's being a 1, the 2, or special teams, it doesn't matter. So I'm looking forward to just messing with the guys in the locker room, just getting acquainted with everybody in the facility, and ultimately, just building a relationship with everybody.
Gotta like that attitude. Couple more notes on today's press conference. You saw him holding that number 25 jersey. That is not going to be his jersey number. He still has not picked his number just yet. And the other thing, he has a unique background. I asked him what made him so good as a wide receiver. His background of playing sports growing up, you got baseball and volleyball. You gotta like that. You gotta like the fact that Panthers have more picks coming up tonight, more chances to improve their defense. They pick 57th and 74th, and you can bet Charlotte Sports Live will be all over it when they go down. Morgan, back to you.
Quite the mix of sports, all around accomplished athlete. All right, Mike, thanks. While T-Mac arrives in Charlotte,
He certainly was. Got to give him credit, too. After the pomp and circumstance died down, the hard questions went at him. One was about his speed. The other was about his work ethic, and he addressed them head on. The first thing, his speed. This was a concern for scouts last night when the Panthers picked him 8. They didn't think he had the speed to be in the NFL, and a lot of fans were sort of worried about it, too. McMillan said, as far as my speed goes, I can tell you, quote, "I'm not slow." And the other thing he talked about was that work ethic. Remember a couple of years ago, there was some video of him going around saying he didn't watch game film. Well, McMillan knows about it. He was talked to about it with a lot of NFL teams ad nauseum. He told them exactly what he told us, and that he's grown a lot since then. That's a good thing because on this job, the pressure will be on. He knows the Panthers are going to need a lot from him, but the good thing is he's not afraid of a challenge.
You know what? Whatever it takes for this team to win some games, man, I'm all for it. Whether it's being a 1, the 2, or special teams, it doesn't matter. So I'm looking forward to just messing with the guys in the locker room, just getting acquainted with everybody in the facility, and ultimately, just building a relationship with everybody.
You got to like to hear that. A couple more notes from today's press conference. Show him holding that jersey, number 25. At this point, that is not going to be his number. His number still has not been decided. And as far as what makes him such a good wide receiver, this is something I asked him about, and you'll see more about it tonight on an exclusive interview on Charlotte Sports Live. He's got a unique background, played baseball and volleyball growing up, and he said those two things have made him the receiver that he is today. Panthers do have 2 picks coming up tonight as the NFL draft continues. 57th and 74th, so it'll be about 9:13, I want to say, 10:02. Those are the times when the Panthers drafts should hit. And, of course, Charlotte Sports Live are going to be all over to let you know exactly what the team does. Reporting from Bank of America Stadium, I'm Mike Lissette, Queen City News.
All right, Mike, we'll see you in just a bit. Have a good night. Today, he had to face the media, including that guy right there, Charlotte Sports Live's Mike Lissette, who I guess he faced some tough questions today, Mike.
Yeah, I'm not a tough guy. I asked the fair questions. Now, to be fair, I actually did not ask this question, but it was one that did need to be asked about Teodoro McMillan, and that was about his speed. If you recall, into last night's draft, this was a knock against him. They said he wasn't quite as fast as a lot of the other receivers in the NFL. He was talked about this today, and he said as far as that goes, he said, quote, "I can tell you, I'm not slow." So he addressed that head on. Another thing he addressed head on was that video that was going around a couple of years ago where he said, I don't like watching game film. That's sort of like an Allen Iverson, we talk about practice thing kind of going on. McMillan said since that video, which was taken his freshman year of college, he's grown a lot since then. And that is a good thing because with this job, he knows the pressure will be on. And as he told me, though, he's not afraid of taking on a challenge.
You know what? Whatever it takes for this team to win some games, man, I'm all for it. Whether it's being a 1, the 2, or special teams, it doesn't matter. So I'm looking forward to just messing with the guys in the locker room, just getting acquainted with everybody in the facility, and ultimately, just building a relationship with everybody.
Sounds like he's got the right attitude, and it sounds like he is ready to get to work. Now, a couple of other notes from the press conference. So I'm holding up that number 25 jersey. At this point, that is not the number he's going to wear. He still has not picked his number. And the other thing I thought was really cool, I was talking to him about his background. You know, what makes him special as a wide receiver? And he told me it's his background playing sports. He played both volleyball and baseball growing up, and that has really added to his skill set as far as a receiver goes. Panthers are going to need more skill sets tonight. It's a good thing because they got 2 picks coming up in the 2nd and 3rd round of the NFL draft. 57th and 74th, that's when they're going to pick, about 9:13 and 10:04. Hopefully, with those 2 picks, they address some much-needed defensive concerns, which still have yet to be addressed thus far in this NFL draft. Reporting from Bank of America Stadium, I'm Mike Lissette, Queen City News.
Mike, we'll be watching tonight.